When we feel like our relationship is at risk, we can get quite jealous. But jealousy can take over even without actual threats being present. So, why did we develop jealousy in the first place? What benefits, if any, did jealousy have? While jealousy can escalate and bring out the worst of us today, jealousy had an evolutionary purpose. There also seems to be a difference between how men and women react to different relationship threats. These differences, broadly speaking, have to do with the consequences for their own children. Before I explain what those differences in jealousy reactions are, it is important to know that they are a consequence of evolutionary adaptations that date back long before contraceptive pills and single parenting were a thing. Modern contraception has only been around for less than a century. That's absolutely not long enough for these societal changes to be reflected in our genes. So, throughout history, jealousy has not been risk-free. It was sometimes particularly risky for men before they can protect themselves physically against potential rivals if an emotional jealousy reaction occurs, or before deep trust is built in the relationship. There have been many instances of men being ostracized, injured, or killed when competing for women. So historically speaking, any benefits that the jealousy response could bring were likely reserved for men of high social status and good self-defense abilities. So what purpose did jealousy serve throughout the majority of our existence when people's lives were so different from today? If a woman was physically intimate with somebody else, her partner would be faced with risks such as parental uncertainty and cuckoldry. If a man was then cuckolded, he may have had higher resource costs and been unable to produce his own offspring. Because of this, men may have adapted to identify and prevent cuckoldry by becoming more sensitive towards cues of sexual infidelity. So from an evolutionary perspective, sexual jealousy was particularly relevant for men, as it played a role in ensuring paternity. Women, on the other hand, do not experience parental uncertainty, similar to Homo mammalian species. This made sexual jealousy less relevant for women. In contrast to most mammalian species, however, men invest in their offspring. So a woman's evolutionary adaptation in part revolved around securing sufficient investment in her relationship and her children. Otherwise, she and her children would experience resource and status loss if the father left to be with someone else. This loss could be big enough to put their survival at risk. This would not be the case if he's only physically intimate with another partner, without investing any resources towards the new partner and potential children. But at what age do these gender differences around jealousy arise? Scientists used to think that it was in the early 20s until a recent study observed these differences in even younger people. 1,266 pupils between the ages of 16 and 19 took part in that study. Surprisingly, a clear gender difference in the jealousy responses of the participants was seen throughout the age range of the study, meaning that they were not young enough for the researchers to answer the question the study was investigating. In that study, the participants were presented with two imaginary scenarios. Scenario 1. You are in a committed relationship. Your partner develops feelings for someone else. Would you be more upset by your partner developing A, an emotional but not sexual relationship, or B, a sexual but not an emotional relationship? Scenario 2. Your partner develops both an emotional and a sexual relationship. Which aspect do you find more distressing? A, that your partner has had sex with someone else, or B, that your partner has developed an emotional bond with someone else. The two graphs show the percentage of male and female students who are more upset by the sexual aspect. The average score for male students is noticeably higher in both scenarios, which means that guys reported experiencing more jealousy in response to sexual infidelity, while girls reported being more upset about the emotional infidelity. Interestingly, the teenagers' answers did not seem to be influenced by three factors: whether the subjects have had their first sexual partner, their first romantic partner, and sexuality. Because of this, the gender differences don't seem to be related to a person's sexual experience. In order to be able to answer the question, when exactly do these differences in jealousy responses start, future studies need to include even younger participants. But it is not really clear how young study participants can be in order to research this in a meaningful way, as sexual jealousy and other types of jealousy may be hard to distinguish at younger ages. The research team hypothesizes that at these younger ages, sexual jealousy does not yet have an evolutionary purpose, but prepares us for adulthood. It was also suggested that due to the dangers that may come with jealousy, it would be risky for men to experience jealousy before it was appropriate, or before they were able to defend themselves physically.